All right, everybody, they are ready, so we'll get started in just a few minutes. But thank you guys for coming. We're going to cover the February 11th deputy-involved shooting today. We did have a sign-in sheet. If you guys are just willing to write your names down, I'll ensure that everybody gets a copy of the PowerPoint along with the videos. I know I always send them to your news desks and stuff, but I just want to make sure if you're an individual reporter here that I can at least get you what you need. A couple things. We realize that every agency does these a little bit differently. The sheriff is always looking at best practices as to when to release information and when not to. I know that there were a couple conversations that took place regarding if there was a weapon found on scene within a couple hours, even a couple days of the shooting. The sheriff addressed this a couple years ago when he first took office, that regarding deputy-involved shootings, it's so critical that we interview our deputies before giving too many critical details about the incident before they have the opportunity to get interviewed by investigators. So while we realize every incident is different, every agency is different, the sheriff has been very clear that we're going to do everything we can with best practices to not compromise these investigations at all. So please bear with us a little bit when we ask for patience on those details. We're going to provide them today. We'll go over a complete overview on it. I realize that you guys probably won't have a lot of questions regarding the deputy-involved shooting. That's fine. The sheriff is human. He wants to have a conversation with you guys. He is willing to take questions outside of this DIS. It is what it is. He will take the time to talk to you guys. We're not going to be doing one-on-one interviews today. We do have a Spanish-speaking PIO of Spanish Network is here and wants that. But as far as like the DWI stuff, I realize those questions are probably going to come up. You're free to ask those, obviously. We've welcomed you in our house today, so we'll go ahead and get started as soon as he walks out. Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. As was mentioned, the first thing that we're going to cover this afternoon will be the deputy-involved shooting incident that occurred on February 11th. Feel free to reference the screen as well as I'm covering some of this information. So the location, 3500 Coors Southwest. That is down in our South Area Command. Some case information there if you'd like to reference that on the screen. If you have follow-up questions or other concerns and you need to reference that. Again, the date, February 11th of this year. The time, just before noon. The location, again, that is the Walmart parking lot, 3500 Coors Southwest. The case agent information is there as well as the case number and CAD number. CAD number largely irrelevant for you. The case number is what you would use if you needed additional information. So that'd be the number you'd want to use. So we've discussed this. I'll talk about the photo here in just a second, but we have discussed as an agency some of the technological advancements that we've been employing here at the Sheriff's Office. Among those has been a partnership with a few different pieces of technology, specifically some license plate reading cameras, and then the systems that integrate with that talk to NCIC, our dispatch, etc. So you can see there in the photo, I wanted you to get a sense of the positioning of the vehicles, and I'll talk in just a moment about how we arrived at contacting this individual. But you can see the suspect vehicle is the white truck there on the left side of the screen, and then the two unmarked deputy vehicles that pinned the vehicle there as it was backed into that parking space when they originally contacted him. We also include the names of who exactly was driving each of those respective vehicles. Go ahead. But back to how we came to contact this individual. So anyone across the country can enter specific wanted person information, warrants, et cetera, into NCIC. I think most folks are generally familiar with what that is. As technology continues to advance, we've got some additional tools that help us communicate that information directly to the line level deputies that are working in the field. In this case, we received a hit on a vehicle through an LPR camera for a wanted individual who was traveling in real time in our South Valley Area Command. Deputies responded to that area, and they're able to get these alerts directly to them, by the way. So it cuts down on the response time, the number of layers that information has to transfer to before it actually reaches the deputy. Because the whole goal here is to reduce any of those barriers for them to get that information as fast as possible, as I mentioned, cutting down on the response time. In this case, they received this hit specifically with information about the vehicle, the license plate, the vehicle description, why this individual is entered into NCIC, and any of the other relevant details that might be of interest to them. Is the subject armed and dangerous? Were they last seen with a weapon? Any of that safety information is critical also that they have if they're going to respond to and attempt to contact this individual. In this case, the information that they received was that this individual was wanted out of another state, and he was wanted for a sex crime involving a minor. And I'd rather not go into a lot of heavy details about the nature of those crimes specifically. There's some information within the warrant that's pretty graphic, and I'd rather not repeat that stuff. But suffice it to say that the individual is wanted for a pretty heinous accusation. Again, it's just a warrant, not been convicted or anything like that, but the allegation was very serious. In addition to that, they had received some information that the individual was potentially armed, and there were some specifics about why they believed that he may have been armed from the investigators in the other state, which was Michigan. All right, go ahead. So a timeline of what happened that morning. So around 11:24 in the morning is when the deputies received the hit on the vehicle through our flock cameras. They make a call to communications, notifying them of that, and then they create the call within our own dispatch. A number of things happened between 11:24 and 11:49. So we needed to confirm some of that information, and when you're talking to another agency in another state, that takes a little bit of time. So there's some phone calls that are made to the supervisor, some calls that were made directly to the investigators in Michigan who had entered the warrant, because we just wanted to make absolutely certain before we contact this individual who might be armed and dangerous, in addition to the nature of the crime that he was wanted for. We just wanted to be absolutely certain that this information was accurate before we had deputies go contact him. We were able to find this individual. He was backed into, as you saw in the previous photo, he was backed into a parking space there in the Walmart parking lot. And then at 11:49, deputies activate their body-worn cameras, and they proceed to initiate what's known as a vehicle blocking maneuver, and that's how you saw the configuration of those vehicles in the photograph. Seconds later, and I don't know if you can read the seconds there, but it's literally seconds later. The deputies are out of their vehicle. They're giving verbal commands to the individual. They can see directly through the windshield of the truck that the individual is reaching with his right hand back behind him into the floorboard of the rear compartment of the truck. He's given repeated commands. I'll show you on video exactly how that unfolds here in just a moment. And he produces a weapon. The deputies can clearly discern that it is a weapon. Some of the evidence that we processed on the scene indicates that the individual died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. So as he is retrieving the weapon and pulling it up, deputy perceives the weapon, almost simultaneously shoots as the subject also shoots himself in the side of the head. The deputies did strike the subject as well when they fired upon him. Both deputies fired at 11:49 and 57 seconds, so we're still within seconds. Backup deputies have arrived, and they proceed to coordinate a plan to approach the vehicle, assess whether or not the individual is incapacitated or deceased, render aid as necessary, secure the firearm. So they go through those steps that they're trained to do and have done in all of our shooting incidents. You'll see in the video where they recover the firearm from the subject's hand. I'll show you the firearm, and I'll show you the front of the firearm that shows, it's slightly graphic, but it does show some of the blood and some of the other organic matter that is what's called blowback into the front of the weapon, and that's why the investigators and OMI believe that he did die from the self-inflicted gunshot wound. So we'll have a couple videos here. So videos from either of both of the deputies that were involved. We have dash cameras in these units as well as the lapel cameras, so we'll show you a little bit of both of those just to give you the best vantage point possible. Of course, you can IPRA the complete footage if you'd like to watch all of it. Again, it's very short because this incident, it just unfolds over a matter of seconds. So we'll go ahead and play. This is dash camera video from Detective Dunbar, and then we'll also show you his lapel camera when he's addressing the subject inside of the vehicle.
I'm direct. I got 45 cameras on. Take down, take down, take down. Sheriff's office, put your hands up! Stop reaching! Stop reaching! Stop! Okay, all units hold what you got. Break 189 to SAM 38. We have shots fired at this 20 by 34s. Subject is down, looks unresponsive. Do you want to switch to south or me?
Let's show it. It's so fast, folks. I'll show it to you one more time because it's just a matter of seconds. So they give a command to go ahead and effect the vehicle blocking maneuver and initiate contact. Their intent is to positively identify the subject and effect an arrest based on the warrant information that was out of Michigan. Go ahead.
I'm direct. I got 45 cameras on. Take down, take down, take down. Sheriff's office, put your hands up! Stop reaching! Stop reaching! Stop!
You can hear both deputies are giving him those commands. You can faintly hear the other deputy off to our right giving the suspect commands to stop reaching as well.
Okay, all units hold what you got. Break 189 to SAM 38.
So this will be body-worn camera footage from Deputy Aragon, who was the deputy that would have been to the right of our previous camera vantage point.
I'm direct. I got 45 cameras on. Take down, take down, take down. Hands up! Don't reach! Don't reach! Okay, all units, what you got? Break 189 to SAM 38.
And you notice right away the deputy repositions almost instantaneously after getting out of the car. In our interviews with him, he felt like, and I'm just paraphrasing for brevity's sake, but he felt like he was not in a position of advantage where he was, and he wanted to immediately adjust that, which we encourage deputies to do. If they feel like they're in a position that's unsafe, we want them to fix that first before they try to address something else in front of them. So especially if you're dealing with someone who's potentially armed. So he makes that choice. He goes around the back of his vehicle, tries to get a little bit more cover behind his car, and he also engages with the vehicle once he gets to the right side of his truck. So some evidence photos that were taken from the scene. This is the suspect's vehicle. Both of the driver's side doors are open. Down at the bottom of the screen, when they cleared the weapon off of the suspect because he was still in possession of it, they just set it immediately right there at the bottom of the truck. So that's the little red arrow and that's the gun. I know it looks funny. I'll explain why it looks like that here in just a second. The impact points from the deputy's fire through the windshield of the truck, as well as the right-hand side of the screen shows the deputy's vehicle and the shell casings as he fired that landed on his windshield and then rolled down, looks like up against the windshield wipers there. These are the impact photos from the second deputy who fired. That would be the deputy who repositioned around the other side of his vehicle. His rounds entered into the driver's side door, front driver's side door, and the rear driver's side door. So this weapon is supposed to look like, this is the suspect's weapon, it's supposed to look like the image there at the bottom of the screen. We do not know if he modified the gun, but somebody modified the gun by chopping the barrel and the stock off the back. It's a 45 caliber, with the caliber correct, right? It's a 45 caliber weapon, loaded. We know that the suspect used it. And this is what I mentioned before. You can see the shell casing on the floorboard of the suspect vehicle, as well as you can see kind of what looks to be like some blood splatter on the front side of his weapon. That's actually the front of the gun. I know it doesn't look like that, but that's the barrel. It's just been chopped off. So the front of the gun and the front portion of the foregrip have been most likely chopped off with a hacksaw or something similar to that. Some information about the deputies that were involved. Deputy Dunbar, Deputy First Class. This is his third deputy involved shooting. He's been with us for 12 and a half years. And Deputy Aragon, also Deputy First Class. This is his first deputy involved shooting, and he's been with us for 9 years. The decedent, I presume his last name is pronounced Marlett, Max Marlett, 32 years old. He is a convicted felon by the records we were able to obtain. Some of his arrests, correct me if I'm wrong, Jamie, but these are all from Michigan, is that right? Yeah. So not a local history, but his arrest history, fairly significant. Some drug crimes, controlled substance possession, traffic offenses, some theft crimes, a breaking and entering, DWI, and then the most recent being the most severe crime. The date of the warrant actually was the same day that we contacted him via the flock hit. So it was within the same 24-hour period that the folks in Michigan entered the warrant, and we got the hit. So a pretty rapid response, which we're pleased to be able to have an opportunity to arrest an individual who's wanted in such a rapid fashion. Obviously, we didn't anticipate that he would take some of the actions that he took, but those were his choices. Again, the charge there, criminal sexual conduct. Some of the letters are a little bit different state by state, the way they classify the statutes and the titles. You're free to IPRA, obviously, the warrant specifically from them, but I would just advise you it's fairly graphic, some of the things that he was accused of. So I know that was very short. The footage is very short. The incident was a pretty rapid one, but if you have any questions about the shooting incident specifically, I'm happy to answer those. The case agent is here as well, so if there's something I can't answer, I'll defer to him.
Yes, you said there was information that you guys learned that there was a reason why he might have a firearm. Can you elaborate on what that information was?
Right, so from what I recall, the detectives up in Michigan, his father-in-law or father, his father had reported that he broke into a shed or a storage facility and had taken a gun prior to fleeing Michigan. So we felt like pretty reliable information, and they felt like it was reliable enough to include it as a part of the wanted hit. Yeah. Yes, sir.
What was the reason why he was in Albuquerque or came to New Mexico?
That's a great question. I'm not sure we know exactly why he was here.
Do you guys see?
Hold on one sec. I saw both your hands. He has not asked a question yet. Go ahead, sir.
Just with the weapon that you guys found, how it was modified and chopped, do you guys often see weapons like that when you guys come around to situations like this?
I mean, often's a pretty subjective term. We do come across them. I wouldn't say we come across them more so than we come across unmodified weapons, but it does happen. Yeah. Okay, and you both had another question. Go ahead.
Yeah. So prior to this, was there any other attempts to arrest Mallett here in Albuquerque?
I don't believe so, because I think this was literally the first hit, because you saw the date that the warrant was entered was the same date. It was that morning. So there were some other flock hits. This was not the first place he went to. There were other flock hits across the country. I can't say to how those other jurisdictions respond to those hits. I just know that the sheriff's office, our deputies are being given that information, or at least they have the ability to get that information directly to expedite our response, and that's what happened in this situation. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Was he alone at the store?
Yes.
With his past convictions, is it safe to assume the firearm was stolen?
Well, I think the father reported it as such. My understanding of the situation is that he did not have permission to have it. Not only that, but as you saw, he's a convicted felon, so he couldn't have had the gun anyway. One more?
You might have said this, I'm sorry, but the truck was registered to him?
I don't think I covered that. I'm not sure that I know that as I stand here. It was registered to him? Yeah, it was his vehicle. Perfect. I don't see any other hands. No other shooting questions? I appreciate you. Again, if you have any follow-ups for the shooting specifically, you have the case information. You guys are familiar with the process. Just reach out to Jamie. She'll get you whatever we can. All right, thank you.